She is the founder and CEO of Alzheimer's and Dementia Organization Kenya, abbreviated as ADOK. Elizabeth Mutunga has been here before. Elizabeth, good morning and welcome back to Radio Generation.
Good morning and thank you for having me again.
Yeah, last time when you were here, people had a lot of questions about dementia. We answered a couple, but today again, we will continue this conversation around dementia rather, and also talk about mental health in general. I don't know if you've seen a certain video doing rounds of this guy in Nakuru who threw himself under a bus, under a truck, actually, a lorry. This 40 foot, whatever lorry. Ali Jirusha, like, literally was waiting for this truck to pass, then he just threw himself under the truck. I don't know if he lived to see another day, but the video is there. It's online.
Where do you get these videos, Paul? You know, you have some of the most gory stories. Every
morning when I wake up, the first thing I do is I get onto social media to see what's trending and what's making rounds. So that one, I saw it on X. Yeah. So people are going through a lot. Yeah. Also, I think in today's paper, let me confirm if it's in today's paper or perhaps from another day, they were talking about suicide cases that have, I think it's from a different, no, it's not here. They're talking about the way people are committing suicide nowadays. The numbers have really gone up, and it's a worrying trend. People are suffering mentally, and they have no outlet to talk about these particular issues. I don't know if you experience this in your line of work.
Yes, as a psychologist. And there's a lot happening, of course, in the country, amongst ourselves as individuals. A lot of us are at that point where they don't want to talk about what's going on. So you keep it in. And the more you keep it in, it keeps building. It's like when you sweep and you're keeping things under the carpet.
Yeah.
With time, the carpet will start swelling and it will burst. And that's just what is happening. So I think people need to start looking for outlets where they can speak of what is going on. And sometimes maybe it's too personal. Or you're at the end. You don't know where else to go. It's finances. It's been very difficult, of course. Businesses, people giving up, people just being harassed from all sorts, and somebody just goes and jumps or goes under waits for the 40 ton, which is sad because that is a point where you've reached the end. So I think what I would advise is start talking to people, even if maybe it's just a friend. And do we have friends? I don't know.
Actually, there's another celebrity again yesterday, a YouTuber who came out and said, because they've separated with the wife, and they've decided to co-parent. How that will work out, we don't know. But this particular YouTuber I'm talking about came out and posted a 40-minute long video just talking about the situation. And it was a man, and he was saying that men rarely talk about these issues, and men are now they're committing suicide in large numbers. Why? Because upate nafasi ya kuongea, utaki kuongelesha mabesti wako. I don't know, when you talk to men, if you have spoken to them, I'm sure you have, what is one of the biggest reason they tell you why they do not come out and talk? Because personally, whenever I have an issue, mi huongea.
That's why you're alive.
Mimi huongea inanitoka. Hata hapa Facebook sasa kuna mtu amesema acha niongee nitoke. Mimi huongea nitoke. But when you encounter these folks that tell you that they are finding difficulty, where is the difficulty exactly?
Men are not known to talk. Women are the ones who we talk. We will go for our own meetings and it's chama, and you will umesema uongee kutoke. So for women, it's much easier to talk. For men, I think from the time even they were growing up, they used to be told, be man enough, you don't cry, you don't do this, those kind of things. And that you grow up with that. So with time, they end up not thinking they should open up and speak about what's going on, and it can be a problem. I don't know, CT, maybe we should loop you in. People in your generation, do they talk about what's going on in life? What is they're going through?
Our own personal lives?
Yes.
Of our dead body. We do not talk.
Why?
Well, one, it's nobody's business other than ours. That's number one. Number two, we are not sure it'll help if we talk. And the sort of friendships that men have, there will be individuals whom someone can talk to. They are not many. And usually they're people you've known from the time you were a child. Somebody you've grown up with. So this is a person you can talk to. One, because this person already knows you. But this common trend that I have seen where I have a problem and the whole world knows about it because I put it on social media. That never, out of the question. We do not talk about our problems. We do not air our problems. We do not even let people know we have a problem. It is how we function. But with time, and given the times in which we are in, more and more we've understood that you can actually talk to other men, and other men can be a support system. But I'll tell you why also this isn't common with people like us. Many of us who probably grew up in the rural areas. In a rural setting, your relatives, literally all your relatives are around. And among those relatives, there are people you talk to with a lot more ease. It could be somebody much older, somebody like your grandfather, somebody like your grandmother. Or for us men, the people we probably end up talking to a great deal were our mothers. Because mothers are more empathetic. And they're the ones who would actually probe. Fathers will probe, they'll ask a question, you'll answer once, they're satisfied and that's done. The mothers will probe and ask you in detail. So this is a person you'll go and talk to about very many things. The support system in a rural setting doesn't exist in town, it has to be created. Now, if one doesn't create it or one doesn't have it, then that protection that that particular community provides is absent. So even when one goes to work, one goes about their business, one would be functioning as though they're alone, and actually you're not alone. Because loneliness is not a factor of the number of people who are around you. It is a question of the people you can connect with, and as they say, the people with whom you can be vulnerable. Now, if someone doesn't have such a community, that person is a ticking time bomb. Yes.
Yeah, and what he's saying, rather, you will find that also his generation is also the one that has suffered the most, especially when it comes to silence, because it's the same generation that believed mwanaume afai kulia, and then wakatufunza sisi sasa wanaume wenye walituzaa mwanaume afai kufanya nini? Be strong. Yeah, now you've been left by your girlfriend, you're heartbroken. Why?
Kangum.
Kangum, can't you see all these women out here? What do you mean that you're heartbroken? Heartbroken? Why? Kwani ni nini amena nayo? So we have been brought up by the same generation that tells us not to do these things, and then now us, we are growing in a different environment where we are connected via social media. We are working these very long hours, and we are working in a tech space where it is difficult to even stay secluded. Yani uko na watu kila siku. Unaona venye Elizabeth ako successful, unafikiria guy, this could have been us, but you know. Yeah. So how do we overcome this? Who do we talk to? And also, I don't know how true or not true this is. Counseling, is counseling expensive?
Interesting question. Expensive is relative. But counseling, I think, is a good way to start. At least, thank God, now we're having more men also in this space. So a lot of it would, if you're talking man to man, it's much easier. But sometimes, like Siti has said, it's easier also to go to female. Some people feel as a man, it's better if I spoke to a female counselor. Counseling, I know it ranges from 3 to, depending on what somebody wants, 3,000 Kenya shillings to whatever. But also, I think there are places where there's pro bono services, so also looking out for that. But it is important to look for an avenue where you can speak. Some, as even when you're going for your counseling, you'll be given maybe assignments like to write if you like writing, or you talk about it if you want to talk about it. Others use drawing. I've seen, like with the children, they have like a sandpit, and you tell us what's going on in your life in the sandpit, and they are talking through that, and then the therapist can be able to. So there's a lot of things that can be done to help you as an individual, even as children, and even with the children now we're getting younger and younger people being depressed.
How old is young?
We even have 8-year-olds.
Wow.
Even younger, depending on the situation also at home, how things are they able to speak to their parents? So I think, like you say, with also the tech world, our children also in the tech world, so they're seeing a lot of these things. So social media,
they were born into the tech. As we had to learn technology, because we grew up in a time where it was now being invented. Computers were getting better. Phones, mobile phones were being invented. So we grew learning with the growth of tech.
Yes.
But our kids have grown in tech.
Yes.
Like now they are literally born in tech.
And which is very dangerous because a lot of them now don't even speak to people. Have you ever called your child like me? There's a time I used to talk to my children and they're just like, and you've called them and they're not even looking at you. It's just, But they're continuing with whatever they are doing, and you're thinking, wait a minute, or even they're walking, and everywhere they're walking with their phones, and they're thinking, this is dangerous.
It is.
So now you can imagine now the next generation. If this is how it is now, what about the next generation? And that is why when they are told no, they will not accept it.
Yeah, because this is.
And so suicide is the next thing that is an option.
Yeah, because I remember growing up, I used to go out and play with my friends, whether it's football, police and robbers, kalongolongo. We used to play kati and so on and so. And if I know it's playtime, and I can clearly hear my friends playing football outside, no wananiambia kapa kwa nyumba fanya homework, kama kapa kwa nyumba because you've been naughty, and I'm thinking I would cry.
Yes.
So you can imagine you taking that phone away from your child.
Yeah, but the thing about all these factors that we speak of, they all hinge on something called expectation. In my generation, we were quite clear.
Yeah.
You went to school, there was a reason why you went to school. And the more you went to school, the better your life, the promise was the better your life would be. And there were clear indicators that supported this view. You've heard me tell you on many occasions that I had an employment letter before I finished my last exams at the university. I knew where I was going to work. Okay? Now, it isn't that we had low expectations. Those were our expectations given our times. I could argue that there were more jobs than there were people looking for those jobs because you could actually change jobs as and when you saw fit. When you come to a time when that isn't the case, see, it takes a bit of a mind journey, a mental journey, for me to understand that there's a younger person whose experience is completely different from mine. They don't have the benefit and advantage of actually not just expecting, but of actually getting engagement that they can anticipate. The anticipation often will be met with disappointment because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So problems begin there.
Okay.
When it came to relationships also, the dynamics that we dealt with were completely different. How we understood it, because we were picking up from where our parents left off. A lot of the ethos and the manner in which our parents went about their lives is what we emulated. Okay? Then came this idea of trying to give you it is a good desire for parents to give your children a better life than the one that you yourself led.
Yeah.
Now, the confusion comes in now when we have all these newfangled ideas from the West which are readily available, and that's where your generation comes in. And they're running interference with what it is we learned culturally, and just adjusting to cope with all these, my friend, it can be quite confusing. And yet, because you're a full grown up, you cannot say it's confusing. So here you are trying to find ways of dealing with it, and it's really giving you a problem.
Andrew Shira says, pain sounds very different coming from a man than coming from a woman, yet women don't understand this. Well, that's Andrew. Let's start by debunking dementia, or rather defining dementia for those perhaps who are joining this conversation for the very first time.
Okay, so dementia is an umbrella term that is used to explain changes in personality, in behavior, and a lot of times there are many types of dementia, and one of them is the most common is Alzheimer's disease. So a lot of people get confused between Alzheimer's disease and dementia, which is which, but just to inform them that dementia is the umbrella term. So Alzheimer's is just one type of dementia.
Okay.
Yes, it's just one type. There are many types. There's dementia. Remember, we were asking about a friend because of alcohol related. We talked about dementia because of HIV, dementia because of Parkinsonism.
Did you say dementia because of HIV?
Yes.
The human immuno. Okay.
Suppression. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Ili na causingi AIDS.
Yes.
Inaweza leta dementia.
No. Yes, it can bring about a situation where dementia sets in.
Yes, because of the also taking medication also for very long, and also it affects also your brain with time.
Okay, first of all, tuendelee. Umesema so kuna Alzheimer's. Umesema kuna HIV.
Yes.
Then umesema kuna Parkinson's.
Yes.
What else so that we can circle back to HIV?
Because of alcohol-related dementia. And then there's also frontotemporal dementia. And there's also Lewy body. But there are very many.
So this frontal temporal happens how?
It happens, it affects the frontal part of the brain.
Okay.
And that is a very aggressive one. So usually within 5-10 years, somebody usually, it's very aggressive.
Okay.
And then also the people who are going through it are very temperamental, so it can be quite hard on the families that have a loved one with frontotemporal dementia. So there are many other types. Those are just a few of them, but there are quite a number of them.
Let's get back to HIV.
Yes.
Connect HIV. And now I'm interested in this because HIV is now, it's like sasa siku hizi HIV iko almost kila mahali. It's very difficult not to know someone who has got HIV in this day and age.
It's actually harder to know now.
Yes. Because
And
of
no,
the medication.
I'm saying in terms of knowing either a relative, a colleague, a friend who is who has HIV. Yeah. So I want to understand how we you know what I mean? HIV na dementia zinapatana wapi? Help me understand.
Okay. So like I said, by the time it's actually developing into dementia, you've been on medication for very long. You've also been unwell for quite a while. Okay. Like I say, it is the brain that is being attacked by usually it's the protein that is eating, like the plaques and the what is it called? Okay, my brain. I'm also going through chemo. So I have a chemo brain. Okay. So anyway, but what happens is the brain is not functioning optimally, and so they end up having, because of the duration that they have been unwell, they have been on medications, that is affecting their immunity, and all that also come into play the role of, now they start with, as the disease progresses, they also now develop dementia. Okay. Yes.
All right. Quite the connection. I would never have thought. I know HIV comes with a lot of things.
Yes.
AIDS comes with a lot of other complications, and wanasemanga even a common cold can kill someone who's immunocompromised, especially someone who's HIV positive. Now, I just didn't know that your brain is affected in that way.
Remember what HIV did, what the virus did? The virus primarily attacks your immune system.
Yes.
Now, the virus can enter your brain cells. Now, brain cells also have their immune mechanisms. So if that is the central focus of the virus, it will affect your brain. But this is a condition that was noticed in the later stages of HIV, what they probably call stage 4. By that time, the HIV had really spread. And because of the compromise of your immune system, your body at that point in time was accommodating a myriad of conditions and diseases. Yes. So the decline of the functions of your brain would probably just be one of them. Yes. And it would manifest in your memory loss and another associated indicators.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Parkinson's.
Yes.
No, let's start with Alzheimer's.
Yes.
So how would we describe Alzheimer's?
So Alzheimer's is a progressive degenerative condition. Like I said, once it starts, it does not stop. So it is progressive. So what happens is, as the disease, it starts by attacking the memory. So you start forgetting, and you start forgetting recent events. It's like it's wiped out completely from your brain. So you're starting to talk about things that happened to you like 20, 30 years ago. The other day we were laughing because we're remembering one of our people we take care of. And there's this lady, she was in her 70s, but her brain is stuck in the early 20s. What? And so she sees this young man and she starts, drawing maps on the floor. Those things that
she starts getting
almost flirting with this young man. And she's, blushing her eyes and everything. And you're thinking, okay, wait a minute, what is this lady doing?
Is this an African lady?
Yes.
Are you talking about? Okay.
And she's elderly, she's 70. But like in her generation, I think maybe that is how he used to communicate. I don't know.
So her brain literally went back to her 20-year-old self.
20-year-old self. So she sees this young man and she's just after this young man, and she's looking at him, and then she just tells him on the face, why don't you marry me? Which is very unlike our African setting, where you're telling a man directly, why don't you marry me? And this young man is looking at me because he's my friend and he's thinking, what is wrong with her? Why is she trying to tell me to marry her? And so I said, you tell her she's beautiful, and then tell her you must go and meet her parents so that you can agree whether to marry or not. And that is how we ended this story. But now it's very, at that age, or when somebody is having dementia, people will start thinking their old self comes back. So if they used to be flat, they used to flirt a lot, had many girlfriends, used to talk, do things that would be questionable, you will actually see as the disease is progressing. So their memories goes back to when they were in their late teens, early 20s. Dad would wake up in the morning and he asks my mom, why are you in my room? Get out of my room. And then my mother is like, but why? And he's like, I am not married, I'm waiting to get married. So they forget. And then of course they start forgetting the people who are related to them. They forget time and space, what time it is, what date it is, they don't remember. And the sad part is when they forget their family members. Like my father would wake up and ask me, I remember I don't know if I told you this story on my wedding day. He was supposed to be walking me down the aisle, and when we were just about to walk in, he tells me, Elizabeth. No, I tell him, Dad, it's time for us to go in. And he asks, for what? And I'm like, I'm getting married, let's walk down. He said, Msichana, I'm not your father. Go and look for your father. And that's on my wedding day, and I'm thinking, am I supposed to be crying? Am I supposed to be happy? And so it's quite frustrating because you're seeing the changes in a loved one.
But at this point, you had already known that he has dementia.
We didn't know what it was because my dad got sick in the 90s. So in the 90s, we thought maybe it's a mental disease because he would do strange things. Like he would sell parts of the car separately, like the tire separately from the rest of the body of the vehicle, which of course you're not selling a car, but according to him, he has sold his car. And then he moves us to from a 4-bedroom Mashanite house to a Mabati house around the corner. He's telling us Jesus is coming, we don't need all these things. So we thought he had become a fanatic,
a cult, member of a cult.
So you're thinking, this is
how old was he then?
He was in his 60s.
Had anything traumatic happened in his life?
Yes, that is what even I was going now to come back to. So he had, my dad was a policeman, and so he went through, he had, what is it called? Diabetic, he went into a diabetic coma. So then he was retrenched due to his health from being a policeman, and my father loved being a policeman. And then after that, my sister, who had cancer, passed on. So dad could not operate anymore.
Your sister passed on after the retrenchment?
Yes.
So these things, and did they happen, how far apart did they happen?
In less than 5 years.
Wow, okay.
So stress, and that is why even I'm very glad that you started that conversation with
mental health.
Because stress is a great contributor.
So if I may ask, and where was your mother in all this?
My mother was there also trying to figure out what's going on. My mom was a stay-home mom.
Yes.
But she's trying to figure out what is going on. And we are not understanding. And you see, at that point, dad was the authority. So, and usually the ladies in that generation never spoke very much about what, again, they rarely spoke. So I had to actually go and look for work at 17 years because my dad woke up and told my younger sister, girls don't go to school, they sit and wait for their husbands to come for them, and so you will sit here and wait. And my sister was joining Form 1, I was just finishing 4th form. So I had to go and look for work because we thought 1 week he will change his mind. He did not. And so yes, so those are some of the symptoms that you'll notice with Alzheimer's disease. Sometimes the people can end up being violent, and it's not that they choose to, but it's because if you argue with them, they lose their temper. So dad would wake up on a Tuesday and he wants to go to church, and I'm like, no, Dad, we go to church on Sunday. So I took the calendar thinking I'm helping him, and I'm marking it for him, and I'm like, today is Tuesday, so we have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday until Sunday. That's when we go to church. And my father had never spoken about my child. That time my son was 2 years old. And he looked at me and asked me, do I look like your 2-year-old? And I'm thinking, wait a minute. He actually knows I have a son, but he's never spoken about it. So some of these things, he will say something and you can actually see you're irritating him. Another time, after I went and got work, I decided I will go and do shopping. So I went and did shopping, brought it home, and my father was so angry. And I'm thinking, why is he angry? I'm trying to help. And so he really beat me up, and he broke my hand that day. And I remember his words were, "Why are you usurping authority over me?" And I'm thinking, wait a minute. So it can be a very frustrating journey with the family members who are taking care of the people. And that's why I think even when you ask where was my mother, because he would wake up and say he has given money for food, and he did not, and they would sleep hungry.
How old was he when he was retrenched? No?
Well, retrenched, he was just about to retire, and that time they were retiring at what, 55, going to 60?
55.
Yeah, 55. So he was not so far off from 55. I think he may have been around 54 or something then. But we are a second family. He had a first family. The first wife died, and then now he got married to my mom. So we were quite younger than his older children. Yeah.
You know the it's odd. The human brain is amazingly puzzling, and how it functions and how it copes. Because one of the things that we cope badly with is shocks.
Yes.
Especially a shock that moves you from a trajectory that you had envisioned as a path that you needed to follow, and then something comes along and dislodges you from it. Unless you are fortunate enough to either have the fortitude, which is rare, or to have a support system that can help, it is very, very easy for someone to actually just get lost in all that.
That's true.
Because in many instances, with us men, the work we do is part of our persona. It's us. Our job is us.
Yes.
And we identify with our job. That is why in many instances, when someone talks to you, they talk about their job. You ask someone to talk about themselves, they'll tell you about their job. That's how men talk. They don't tell you about themselves.
Yes.
They say, oh, I do this, and I've done this, and I've done this, and I do this. Say, no, I want you to know about yourself. Yeah, but I've just told you, see?
Yes.
So when that part of you is, let me use the word, is annexed, suddenly you're fairly naked, because you can't see yourself correctly. You saw yourself in that light, and now you can't. If you look at the history of men who retired at the age of 50 or even 55, anecdotally, I noticed very many of them did not live 5 years after they retired.
That's true.
They went back to a setting they had come from, because people came from rural areas, came into town, went to school. They went back. They somehow couldn't adjust properly. Yet, strangely enough, women in that setting thrive.
True.
Strange.
True.
Yeah.
And live on and on and on and on and on. Men don't seem to cope very well with that.
What? I'm getting to learn a lot about, again, dementia, as much as this is the second time we're having this conversation, yeah?
Yes.
Parkinson's.
Yes.
We've spoken about now Alzheimer's, HIV, Parkinson's. The connection again.
The connection.
Yeah, or
Of
rather,
course.
give us a definition, or rather, the situation or the characteristics of Parkinson's.
So Parkinson's, what is actually characterized is the tremors. So if you remember Muhammad Ali.
Yes.
So a lot of people, either because of boxing and all those things. And then the other thing, I don't know if I spoke about it here, when you're on motorbikes, please wear your helmets, because anytime you hit the ground, it might not happen immediately, but after a few years. And also there's a gentleman, he was an architect, and people came to his house and they hit him on the head, and he had a cut. Yes. And it took about 10 years. And let me tell you, with all these different types of dementias, you don't notice it immediately. It's 10 years later that you'll actually see the damage that's been done. So it just sets in and creeps in very slowly. So you start noticing the tremors. But the difference between Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, because Alzheimer's is the most common, and then Parkinson is the second one. So the difference between Alzheimer's and Parkinson's is Alzheimer's, you start forgetting. The memory is the first thing that goes away, but they are still able to move around. With Parkinson's, it's their movement that is affected. So they start struggling to move around. They are not able to move as fast as they used to. Sometimes the body is very stiff, but their memory takes a bit longer to go away. I remember I have been to a Parkinson's support group, and the people I met maybe 5 years ago will still remember me by name, but somebody who I met who has dementia, I mean Alzheimer's, will not remember my name. And even they'll never remember we met.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the difference between Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. But the one thing that you'll notice is the tremors. Yeah.
Let me see if there's a comment here or a question. Mashari Angelo says, in dementia, they say fast in, last out.
Yes.
Fast in is FAST. What does this mean?
What his meaning is the information that was in fast. So the like now I've been in the studio.
Yes.
Let's say I have dementia. Then tomorrow you tell me, Elizabeth, we met you in our studio a few hours ago. And I'm like, no, I don't know you. I've never met you. So that's the information that goes away fast. So what they'll remember is the information that they had 20 years ago.
Before the disease.
Before the disease. Yes.
David Lubale, Kabuda, why are you panicking about HIV dementia? Kwani form ni gani? Daudi, I know of Nduthi guy where I live. I usually send him a lot he's like my delivery person, and he's HIV positive. This I know because he told me about it. And then there's a time I noticed kidogo memory yake inakuanga off. So when we are having this conversation, I'm actually asking myself, haya, could this be what we're talking about, or it could be something totally different and connected, not connected to this conversation? I don't know. As in now that we've said it, I don't know how to approach it with him, but I'll find a way.
And also the interesting bit, and again, what he was talking about, the medication. Even people who have been on heart medications for very long, with time, dementia actually sets in. So anything...
Heart medication.
Yes. So anything that is... Even cancer now, we are starting to notice. People who've had cancer, and then again you hear now they have dementia. So people who have been on medication for a while, somehow... they end up actually having dementia or forgetting. A lot of people even are saying now with COVID, they're saying, sorry. They're saying with mama yangu.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So
okay.
Even with the COVID, a lot of people are also saying you're starting to notice some changes. So I think anything, what you said, anything that is very traumatic onto the brain. Will actually have a long-lasting effect.
What do you mean COVID changes? What changes are we talking about here? I hope not dementia. Okay,
what CCT is burning to say something.
No,
but yes.
My brain is working, but I want to listen to you.
No, for me, what we have noticed, people who actually were, and the isolation. The isolation was not good. Okay, I'm also talking from experience for myself because I was also locked up. I was isolated. I was quarantined.
Okay.
But I was in ICU for 2 months.
Because of COVID?
Because of COVID.
2 months?
2 months.
This is in 2020?
2020 November. And then I was intubated. At some point, I hear I died and I was resuscitated. But one of the things after that, I struggled because I was having, the same one I'm talking about, the brain, chemo brain, is the same thing. I couldn't remember stuff after COVID.
Yeah.
And I really pray with these two connections that it doesn't happen to me. And then also a connection with dementia, but I'm not getting it anyway. So one of the things, because of that isolation also, and then you never used to talk to anyone. So also that also affected you because you are talking to no one, you have nowhere to vent, you're sitting there. Death is imminent at any point in your life.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, because of that isolation, and then your memory is not as active as it used to be.
Do you remember anything during your ICU period, the 2 months?
Yes, because I was conscious, but I had to be put on, I had to be... Intubated, but also I was put in a coma.
Oh, the medical coma.
Medical coma for like, I think a week.
Okay.
But after that, I was in ICU, but I could, people in ICU usually are not very present. They are either in a coma or something, but I could see everything that was going on. So I could hear, I could speak. Yeah. But it's only that now my oxygen levels were very low because 95% of my lungs had been eaten up by COVID.
Okay. Conversation for another
day.
But, and the reason I'm asking this is because we're trying to make connections here and see the risk, talk about the risk factors, what someone can do to avoid this and so on and so forth. For you're saying that the quarantine plus now the whole hospitalization process perhaps is another risk factor for dementia.
Being alone, yes. Being alone. And you see, one of the things we say when we are talking about what should you do to ensure that you don't get dementia, one of the things is make sure that you have people you talk to. You're not alone. You have a community around you.
Yeah.
Because also people who stay by themselves, we know, and even my dad was a loner. He ended up getting dementia because he rarely talked to anyone. And like Siti said earlier, his work was him.
Yes.
So dad could not see how he could be a civilian and not be a policeman. He couldn't connect. And it took him very long because, we lived in a police house. He was driven around. He was a
senior cop. Okay.
Yes, so he had all these things. So some of these things, just sitting by yourself, not talking to anyone. Actually, your memory, it's a muscle. So if you don't use it, you lose it.
Now, I'm very certain I got COVID. I'm not sure if but najua nilipata hiyo kitu nilipata for sure. Thank God I never spread it beyond myself. And I used to live with my family, so but I got again the vaccine. I got the first one and then the booster, and then I wanted to get the third one, but nikasema bwana hii kitu kama itanipata tu, but I know I got cause ile homa nilipata during that time kwanga mbaya sana. Getting back to questions here, there's Geraldine Ocheng asking, how do we support especially people with dementia?
One of the things I tell people, do not argue with them. If they say today is a Tuesday, it's a Tuesday. But if they wake up and they don't want to do anything, don't fight. In fact, the best thing to do, if you walk in, like showering is a problem, brushing their teeth, all these things that nobody should tell you to do, they struggle. So what you do, if they refuse, take a break, walk away, give them like 5 minutes to breathe, come back with another strategy, not arguing with them. Like for me, when I was taking care of Dad, the mistake I did of going and doing shopping, all I would have done is that maybe put even 1,000 bob. He doesn't know the value of money, and tell him, Dad, we have this money, what can we do? And then he gives his input so that when I come in with the shopping, he's not fighting me. Some of these things, just being wise.
It will be his idea.
It will be his idea, but you're the one who's going to make sure it happens, but also improve it. So improve the idea.
Someone who doesn't want to brush their teeth, now what do we do? What strategy do we employ there?
You have to either, some of them, when they're still able to, you can convince them. There was a lady I used to read about, she loved ice cream. So even when she used to refuse to shower and brush her teeth, the son would tell her, after this, we're going to go for ice cream. And that would make her want to do everything. So she will quickly do it. But other times, there are good days and bad days. And there are days they will not do it.
At all.
Whatever you do. So sometimes just let it be.
Okay. Daudi again here. Do we have any reverse natural medicine for dementia?
At the moment, when it's confirmed it's dementia, there is no reverse. But there are things that mask themselves as dementia. For example, vitamin B12 deficiency, thyroid problem, depression. All these things, if they are sorted, somebody will go back to normal. But that is why it is important to have a proper diagnosis. Just don't go to hospital and the doctor tells you it's dementia.
Then
find out more
it,
what type of dementia is it, so that you're able to know, is it Alzheimer's, is it frontotemporal? Then you'll be able to give your loved one a better care. So it's important to actually have a proper diagnosis from the beginning so that you know what you're dealing with.
I know of some folks who are doing research with mushrooms. And not just these other edible mushrooms that we buy from the supermarket, the psychedelics. They're doing some kind of experiment research with it, and on patients that have got different mental problems, including dementia. And they're trying to see if they can reconnect the brain, grow new neurons and make that connection whole again. Because, and especially for patients who've been through a traumatic experience, an accident maybe that destroyed part of their brain, so they're still alive, they're still conscious, but perhaps unapata kuna ka place kwa brain yao ilikuwa damaged, so they have things like epilepsy and so on. So now this experiment and this research rather that is being done is to see whether they can regrow the neurons. Now they've done experiments on brain from mice, rabbits, and so on and so forth, and other animals, and it is showing some promising results. And they are hoping perhaps with time, this is probably not going to happen even in our lifetime, but perhaps with time, if someone else perfects this particular research, we might get to a point whereby diseases such as dementia whether it's Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, epilepsy, we can actually repair the brain in that particular way, because all you need to do is have that operation, have a few drops of that concoction dropped in there, or perhaps you're given intravenously, or you digest it, I don't know, and then it gets to your brain, and slowly too it grows those cells back, and perhaps you might not get the memories back, but it will stop the dementia where it is. And I think that's actually a very good research.
But Paul, consider also, when we talk of lifestyle and how this affects our mental health, it's something that perhaps should be given a little attention. Drug consumption. I'm not talking about medicine only. Drugs, bangi and etc.
The narcotics.
Yes. Alcohol. That has direct influence on the brain and the brain cells. Research has also indicated with clarity that it helps hasten that process of dementia.
That's true.
So people who consume loads and loads of alcohol and think they're achieving something great, they are inviting the dementia to head in their direction in a very speedy manner. Yes.
True.
So there are things when you talk about the preventative aspects of some of these diseases. Well, the consumption of alcohol, consumption of drugs, if one eliminates them completely, then one reduces the chance of that influence playing a part in that process.
That's true. Yeah. Because preventative, actually, those are the things that we tell people. If you're taking alcohol, we tell you might not be able to stop immediately, but start taking it in moderation and eventually stop. Smoking, some of these things, cholesterol, all these things play a role in you getting dementia. If the kind of food that you eat, it's also very important. So some of these things, what Siti is saying is very true.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the major, we don't have the causes yet, but they actually play a role in actually you getting dementia.
Yes. And that's we're told anyway, too much of something is poisonous. Even too much of water will kill you. Too much of oxygen will actually choke you to death. So it's one of those situations whereby you just thank God every single day when you wake up, because that drink you took last night could have been your last one. But there are Kenyans who wanasemanga ati unajua unaweza jichunga sana utoke vinjo ugongo na nduthi udedi. So I like the way we are just they are devils in whatever we do. So someone is asking me ati so we fanatics introverts were in danger. I always love to be alone.
Yes, you're in danger.
Really?
Yes.
Is
Don't be too
bad?
alone. Please, you need people.
Yeah.
That's why we are told man is not an island. Yes. Once in a while.
Yeah.
Just have people around you.
So how much of an introvert should one be? Should you be alone some out of 7 days in a week? Are we saying 3 days, 4 days? Or if you're going to meet people, make sure every weekend at the very least go to church if you're a church person. If you're Saturday hangout person, go enjoy yourself.
It's very hard to give degrees of what you should be or what you should do. But also, I know introverts get very tired after some point with a lot of people around them. It's too much. They can't take it all in. But try. Even if it's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours max, try. Maybe 3 times a week, if possible. But at least have people around you. Don't be too much of an introvert that you actually don't allow people in. And that is why even when you have issues, you're able to speak them out and have people help you. Yeah. Siti, are you an introvert?
No, I am not an introvert.
Okay.
At all.
Okay.
Far from it. Where my thoughts went, I was thinking about how it is that a very simple reality of human beings is neglected. We are social creatures. We actually thrive when we interact with other human beings. It is simple, but that's what it is. Yes. For instance, it has taken research to figure out something that we Africans understood a long time ago. That when a child is young, the mother hangs out with that child literally all the time, and either on your back or in front of you. So remember, the rhythm of the heart, which is what the child listens to, even when they haven't been born, is then reignited when they're with their mother. children tend to be very much at ease when they lie on the chest, because that rhythm of the heart brings about an element of familiarity. So you actually find that simply because of that proximity, and then the time that they spend around other children playing, the time they spend you are in a bedroom with many others, as opposed to this Western style where everybody has their room. They begin isolation at a very early stage, and they think it's a good thing. You then develop things that will later catch up with you. See? Socializing cures very many things in human beings. Just socializing. Getting to hang out with people, like those 10 best friends of yours who you hang out with every fortnight or so.
It's important.
It's absolutely important.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's important.
So when you are this island and you've determined that you will only get in touch with people as and when you need them, well, you're fermenting problems for yourself. You just don't know it.
Yeah.
And this thinking of that, I don't really need people. Actually, you do.
You do. You do.
You do. You may not think so, but you do.
Again, no man is an island.
Yes.
No.
Right. So now, from the get-go, what are some of the things for healthy people to avoid Alzheimer's? What are some of the things they need to, first of all, just look out for in terms of indicators of Alzheimer's? First of all, on themselves, then now on people that they care about.
So once you start noticing that there's a memory loss, and the memory loss is not of, they're not talking about recent things. They're starting to talk about things that happened long ago. It is something to make you worry, and please go and see a doctor. Another thing, we misplace things. We forget normally. I mean, I can come and put my phone here, but after some time I'll remember I left it here.
Yep.
But if somebody cannot remember at all, then there's a problem right there. If they're forgetting, of course, time and the time, what time it is, the day, that is also an indicator there's a problem. Or when you keep coming to visit them and they keep asking, oh, how are you? And they keep greeting you, and when you ask them, who am I? And they laugh and they tell you, unajua nyinyi watu wangu, that tells you they do not know who you are.
Yeah.
So that is an indicator. There is a problem right there.
Yeah. But I'm always like that with my fans because I don't remember all of them.
We shall not comment. But one thing I will tell you is that one of the things that we are trying to encourage people to do, because now actually younger people are now getting dementia in their 30s, 40s. And it's because we have this thing, we don't read as much. So a lot of us, we are either scrolling, but we are not even turning pages. So we are not reading, we are not keeping the mind active. So we need to start actually doing crossword puzzles, Sudoku, read. Enjoy what you're doing.
Challenge your mind.
Waswahili
wanasema chemsha bongo.
Ndio hiyo, inahitajika. So some of these things, start doing things that you don't do normally. Learn a new skill. That also will keep your brain. I was watching something about a 75-year-old from Marsabit who went back to school because he didn't want idleness, which is amazing because he went to do his KCSE. So that is amazing because he has decided he wants to keep himself busy. And that usually, I think, when we reach retirement, like you said, and we're thinking, I've worked all these years, there's nothing else to do for me. So you sit and not do anything. Yesterday I was told something very interesting about a man in the village who was a teacher. And now, because he loves talking, so people in the village have been given time slots when they come and sit with him and talk to him, so that he's not idle. He has people around him. And then the family pays them, apparently, at some stipend, just to keep them also motivated. So the villagers are also excited. Wanapata ndio hiyo. Lakini wamekuja kumweka company, which is an amazing kind of thing. So just do that. Get it right. Exercise, both physically and mentally. And also socialize. Socialize is important. Have people around you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tamara is saying this is why grandparents love having our children, their grandchildren, around them, because most of the time they are alone.
Yes. And also they are challenged because sometimes a grandchild will ask you, why does the sun rise from the east? As a grandparent, you must think of an answer. So you have to think of something to tell the child because somebody is asking you a question. So it's important. Let's not also isolate them. I know some of us may have to go and work abroad, and maybe we leave our parents here without all the children leave them. But ensure that there's a system that works for them. They are not alone. Loneliness is hard. And a lot of people now, the elderly, especially older persons, are actually dying
because of loneliness.
All right.